What if I told you that getting to Challenger was as easy as the players say it is? At least it can seem that way when I tell you that a player like this can get 80% win rate by only putting in 20% effort. Let's just start with the first clears of the game I'm going to show you that's going to illustrate this principle, that if you use 20% of the jungle principles I show you on repeat, you will definitely get more wins. This player is one such player who's managed an 80% win rate on Sylas jungle despite the nerfs, and instead of worrying about, hey, should I do objectives? Hey, should I farm? Hey, should I do 1, 2, 3? He just ganks. But then how does he end this game and all his other games with 7 CS minute if he's only focusing on 20% of jungling? Now, as you watch the Sylas go for this level 2 cheese gank on the bottom side, now you start to think, well, this is just a cheese strategy. No, that's not what I'm talking about. So let me explain this in a very simple way. When you have, say, 5 different core principles that make up all of jungling, most people try to min-max all of these things all the time. They try to consistently improve in every aspect and in such slow down their wins and climb. When you ask a challenger jungler, hey, how did you get there? Their response is usually, just do this. What they're saying is if you're playing a champion and you're winning with it, keep playing that champion. If you're doing a certain strategy in a clear that's working, just keep doing that strategy. Some junglers will just say, look, I'm not ganking, I'm just gonna farm about 300 CS a minute, and then I'm gonna do something. And they do that every single game, and they know how to make it work, so they win games. They don't worry about all the other intricacies. Overthinking is the enemy of you climbing. Essentially, what we're talking about is jungling smarter, not harder. If you want help implementing this information into your own game, I have a free jungle improvement resource and a dedicated program where we have jungle video courses, jungle coaching VOD libraries, weekly coaching classes, Q&As, patch note rundowns, private high elo streams, as well as a private jungle Discord. And I know how to make junglers convert from low elo to gold to emerald to diamond to master plus. If you want to climb faster than anybody you know, jungle diff every game you play, head to virkayu.gg. So we have the Sylas who does his cheese gank and then falls back to his Crocs and Raptors. Yeah, there's a risk of vertical jungling, but why would the enemy jungler take that when the Sylas could easily base and come back out with, Dark Seals and M-terms? So he just ganks in the mid lane, gets a kill on the Tristana even though the Tristana saw him, and now he's going to do what all junglers would do in this case, fall back to the blue side. This Sylas says my entire mantra, the thing I'm just going to do no matter what, is gank, invade, fist, and fight. And while you watch him do that, grab some kills and help his Tristana a little bit, the whole entire overarching principle of this is what you might have heard from business where 20% of your product will net you 80% of your revenue. Or, in YouTube's case, 20% of your topics will net you 80% of your views. So you should focus on those. So despite those statistics suggesting I should make tier lists all the time, fortunately I will not do that. You can apply to your jungling and League of Legends as well. If you have 2 or 3 champions that you're playing and that's 20% of your entire champion pool, focus on those 2 to 3 champions. We tell you this all the time. If you have a certain game plan that's working every single game with a certain champion, keep doing it until it stops working. Reap the rewards, the LP gains, the LP revenue from focusing on the 20% of jungling that's really working for you. Now, this won't always necessarily mean you become the most complete jungler, but all your other things will kind of go up with it. And then, of course, you can shift focus over time if you want to improve other areas of your jungling. However, if your sole goal is to climb and win, which it is for most of us, then why would you ever overcomplicate your life by implementing Karthus strategies on a Sylas? Focus on the 20% that's working, stop worrying about the rest, and they will fall into place. And you can see that here, the guy comes out of base, there's nothing to gank, so I guess I'll do my blue side quadrant, but then I'm going straight back to ganking. I swear it, I'm gonna do it. And he does it. He gets a kill, Ekko rotates, shoves a lane, and then the Sylas, normally do we go counter jungling? What would Virkayu tell me to do now? Maybe we go gank top lane? No, this guy says, I'm gonna kill the Ekko. I'll die, but I will snowball more than him. And then he's going to leave base and say, you know what, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and gank bottom lane again. Now, if you're in the Ekko situation, how would we apply this, lazier 20% effort jungling in order to win this game? Well, if you were playing Ekko and you knew you wanted to spam gank as well, then maybe you would pick a different lane to spam gank and you would kind of match up a little bit in that case. If you're playing a Karthus or Fiddlesticks or a more farming focused jungler, you just farm. Sure, you can set up some counter ganks and things like that as you watch a Sylas eviscerate the enemy bot lane yet again, but the idea is you stick to the thing that works for you and your champion and don't let the enemy jungler compromise that strategy. Yes, I love to teach dynamic pathing, adapting, cutting off the enemy jungler, jungle denial, and all of those things do work, but those are the things that are secondary to your core game plan and play style. If you focus on the shit that works, the other shit will fall into place nicely. Like with Sylas now, by killing everybody, he goes and does his red side quadrant. He doesn't care about objectives, he doesn't think about objectives because he says, look, if I do my strategy correctly and just fall back to this other stuff, when I'm bored and there's nothing else to do, then objectives are irrelevant in the conquest of my game. I mean, you could stop after your red side quadrant and maybe float up to the Herald, deny the potential snack by the Ekko. You could go ahead and just do the dragon after the bottom lane gank, or because you just want to gank all the time because Not lazy, but specifically focused 20% jungling, he ganks bottom lane again. Now they're kind of tilted, they're really far behind, he's snowballing and the Zyra is snowballing. Do you see where this kind of works? If you were farming jungling in Karthus' situation, you could just full sequence gank bot lane, full sequence gank bot lane. Hey, top lane, mid lane, don't care about you, full sequence gank bot lane. You do it again, and again, and again, game in, game out, and you will see climbing results because you are mastering that 20% and focusing on that which actually gives you wins. Now, if you're following this game and it's basically, yeah, pick a lane to gank, fist the enemy jungler over and over again, and fall back to our camps. We're not interested in counter jungling or objectives because that would take time away from the stuff that's actually helping me get fed. Are you starting to follow me? The Ekko does, the Herald thinks, hey, I should go counter jungling. The Sylas comes out of base and says, you know what, I better do some hello, sir, shoves him out, gets a kill. Now we can go top lane. Anything? Nothing? Okay, back to base. Now I could go farm all my camps, but the Ekko's holding mid lane. Hey, let's go fighting again. And he's probably not thinking any of those things, he's just thinking, hey, let's go fighting again. This is a magnificent strategy if your champion pool allows it. If you're playing Briar, if you're playing Sylas, then this is the kind of stuff that it can help you win. Lee Sin as well, Nidalee as well. In order to reach your goal elo, your peak elo, sure, it's better to focus on becoming a total jungler, which is the way I teach it and the way I personally play. But you still focus on one core strategy as the center point of all of that, yes? And you're seeing that with the Sylas fighting as well. We're forcing the issue here because we can, because we have the lead to do so. Now that there's no one else to kill or fight or gank, might as well take some camps from the enemy jungler, some jungle denial. Now the enemy bot lane is going to be shifting on down over again. Why don't I, just kill their Phyllis very quickly? This is obviously great for champions like this, the Shakers of the world, those who can actually go ahead and do these things, the Evelyns as well. But if you're not one of those champions, this cannot be your strategy. This guy just decided to max his ganking and fighting all the way up to the top, leave all the other stuff at the bottom because he was getting results with it. If your champion doesn't synergize with it, you won't. Now you go back to base again, we've got our blue side quadrant up, we see the Ekko forcing things. That means we can collapse. We don't avoid these scenarios because we can't actually fight them. If you're something that cannot fight them, you will have to look for other outlets. And you can see how he's utilized the champion choice to synergize with what he wants to focus on to absolutely decimate. There's not a lot of jungle theory going on here. Sylas got big lead, Sylas now ruffle stumps everybody, and this guy won 3 games in a row, sub 20 minutes. Let's skim through another one to show you how he does this and replicates it in a different matchup. In this case, a level 2 after the red buff isn't possible, so he does Krugs, looks bottom lane, no gank possible. Okay, I guess that's the risk of a level 2 gank, so I'm gonna go to the mid lane. When that one is successful, Jarvan is forced to cut his clear short to rotate, picks up a kill. But the Sylas is winning because he's forcing the enemy jungler to compromise their own playstyle. Now to Jarvan, Jarvan's strong, Jarvan will succeed at this. And then he comes out of base and you think, okay, now he's gonna do it. Never mind, he ganks mid lane yet again. Okay, so at this point, we know we've taken the red side now, we've killed Syndra twice. We can go to our blue side after Scuttle, yes. Or maybe we could dive top lane, that's a possibility. No, I know that the Jarvan did his blue side, I know he reacted to try and kill me, I know he's gonna be on his red now. So being consistent with his hyper-aggressive ganking and invading playstyle, which he's just hyper-focusing on, he does in fact end up getting killed, which is a possibility when you have this game style. Now he will do his Wolves and Grump upon respawning as Jarvan kills the mid lane. And in this particular case, you think, okay, the guy's gonna do his Grump. Maybe, no, he sees the Syndra going back to base in the mid lane and says, forget the Grump, I'm gonna try and kill her again. Now you're gonna watch him fight, you're gonna watch the team rotate, you're gonna watch him kill the bottom lane, go back and do some Krugs, and then kill the bird. Yes, you will eventually die again, and this is why you're seeing this playstyle as not being a very cohesive meta playstyle, because it's not efficient. You don't have a lot of experience econ, you're giving the enemy kills as much as you're getting your own kills for your team, but if you look at the lanes and the KDAs, you see, I can understand why this would actually get the team ahead, and all he has to do is keep doing it, keep the pressure on. And what you're seeing next, there's no jungle theory for this. I'm not telling you to do this. This is not actually a very good way to jungle. But this player has picked a champion and an absolutely psychopathic Arkham Asylum bound jungling style that works with him, his teammates, the server he's on, and he's able to execute it every single game because look, he has more gold than the enemy jungler. His champion allows him to keep fighting, and he only falls back to camps here or there, and maybe objectives here and there when there's honestly no fighting to be done. It is the baseline upon which he jungles. He's effectively jungling in a very lazy way, farming, sequencing, thinking, all those things are too difficult. I'm just gonna be hyper aggressive, I know I can win, and I'll keep taking those fights. If you were to ask him, how do you get challenged at doing this? He would tell you just to gank and be aggressive the whole time. Whereas someone like a Gurren in that video we covered would say, no, take good jungle decisions. farm as a baseline, look where the enemy jungler is, make good jungle decisions about what's available and when you can actually go in and go out. In my case, I like to reverse clear down or, try to mislead the enemy jungler in some capacity, but what that allows me to do is always be on the opposite side of the enemy jungler. My goal is to never be on the same side. This allows me to ensure that they're wasting their time doing other things, they have no idea what my clear is, and I get their second spawn raptors, second spawn krugs quite a lot. I can even gank a side lane before they show up, and now they're stuck in a zone with not much to do. I like making enemy junglers be confused about where I am and have nothing to do. Those are the baselines of my game plans. Now let me ask you this, how many times have you been in a game where the enemy jungler just spam ganked like the Sylas, got fed, and you said, how is he getting fed? We can see him, we know what he's doing, he's just ganking. Why is he getting fed? Because laners have to lane. And if you're AFK farming and not really paying attention to it and not taking his stuff away, he will win out. If you try and rotate to him every single time and try and collapse every single time, you're playing his game and he will win out. But then if we shuffle to the other side of the coin, you will understand that, hey, I've been doing a balanced jungling approach, I clear, I counter jungle, I get objectives, I'm ganking my lanes, and this guy's just AFK farming. All it took was one bad gank and the guy's now up 10 CS over me, counter jungles my whole top side, takes a herald, and all of a sudden we're in this mid-game fight and the guy just wipes us. That's not fair, he didn't do anything to deserve it. Well, I've done this as well. The complaint, yes, but also the farming. Because I will see you doing all of these actionable things, I physically cannot do that with my champion, so I will farm, take what I can, counter jungle where I can, get objectives, not really interested in high KP at this stage, but by the time the mid-game comes around, I still have the most gold in the game, the most experience, and I can win those mid-game fights. Why does it work? Because instead of trying to be a ganker, which my champion is not, I focus all of my effort on the strength of the champion in this particular moment, in this particular game, in this particular matchup, which might be just counter jungling and farming and sequencing, denying their actions in terms of hyper-aggression, and one time showing up for a counter gank and I have the same amount of gold, shut them down, win the lane, get the objective, get the plates, and now the game is in my favor. That, my friends, is the point of this video. Figure out what style you have as a game plan, figure out which champion allows you to enact that, and times it by 10. Focus all of your effort on 20% of the jungling that's actually working for you. Focus all of your effort on the champion pool that is actually netting you results and stop playing the champions which are not. 20% of what you're doing as a jungler in your League of Legends career is responsible for you climbing. Figure out what that 20% is and double down, triple down, 10 times down on that strategy and let the rest of them fall to the side as secondary objectives. They will fall into place like you saw with the Sylas, you still get your camps, you still eventually get objectives, but you're focusing on that stuff that actually nets your result. And every jungler for this is different. But at the end of the day, we do want to be total players, we do want to understand how to jungle every sort of aspect, and we need to figure out which of these things we're best at. So in order to become an absolute beast of jungle overall, which is click the video in the box on the top right to enlighten yourself.